Hello everyone, my name is Gracia Ora, a Kepler student at Safin Hampshire University. So I'm now going to talk about the project which called the validity and credibility is under the goal named Go Behind the News. So I'm going to talk about the three stories and I'm going to ask to respond different questions that I'm asked about these three stories. So the first story is about the vicious. The first story is the story that has title called Vicious Assault Shakes and Texas Town, and it has so the source of this story is New York Times, and is due and is the it has date on March 8, 2011. So asked if the question is asking me if this story is independent versus self-interested based on how I was reading and how I saw this story after reading this. So this story source is independent. This explains that they are connected to the profit from from the result of this story, and the source of this news has nothing to do with the story that was reported. They are bidding on Nerement School young. They are talking about the Nerement School youngster who informed the teacher about the Grossman's smartphone video feature on on her classmate. This demonstrates that the source is unconnected about his or her own self-interested. Again, this the another question is asking is this first story is multiple source or is one source. So this story is made up numerous, I mean different sources. So the reason is because it was aimed to elementary school learners. Already the teacher to read cell phone video that is involved one of her classmates. This impressed that they were both reporting on the same story about an elementary school youngster who already a teacher do to agree with some smartphone video involving one or her classmate. So this is why. Again, another question is asking me if this story is verified or assessed. The story source attempt to use different reporters. This is because the fact that this shows that the story contains real fact, I mean evidence, and I think that the source of this story provided evidence to verify that what they were presenting was correct. I just said because it was mentioned in a narrative. The footage read the corpse to an abandoned terror. This is an example. More evidence, and then around authorities arrested 18 young men and teenager boys at the abandoned terror house during the last month on suspicion of participant in the gang rape of 11 years old girls. This evidence shows that again this fact explains how this story has variety, I mean different evidence, and also it used it to real persons. However, it also asserted based on how it has some words which are not a fact, that which are not real fact, where the reporters use words like some said. Who are they? So there is no specific name of those some said what. And for example here the reporter said a relative of one of the suspects arrived and the group freed the back window. They then went to the abandoned mobile home where the assault continued. Some of those present recorded the sexual act. on their telephones, and these letters were shown among students. Residents in the neighborhood where the abandoned trailer stands, known as the quarters, said the victim had been visiting various friends there for months. They said they dressed older than her age, wearing makeup and fashions more wearing makeup and fashions more appropriate to a woman in her 20s. So she would hang out with teenage boy at playground, some said. When the reporter said, some said, who said that? We are not sure if those said by some, or said by some, and maybe she can suppose to say some said, but we don't know, are familiar with them. With this story is verified on other is verified based on how there are some evidence including it, and also it is assessed since it has both fact and opinion. Since it is assessed that it has both also opinions. So another question is asking if this story is authoritative and informed. These sources in the article are authoritative and informed. This means that the stories cited in the article are reliable and specific article and well informed. I suggest this because the source has information regarding the children who may have notified the teacher to gruesome cell phone video involving one of her classmates. There are enforcement officers who are investigating the criminal are very clear on this, so it's understandable. And by integrating diverse opinion of an 11-year-old girl's gang rape in abandoned trailer house, the story source demonstrates skill and knowledge of the subject topic. So this is why also it is stated and uninformed, and this is because to demonstrate a fact or assets or a fact confidently and strongly without demonstrating awareness or understanding of the fact. So these are the claimed and consistent information which include, according to the Houston Chronicle, and affidavit presented to support the search request, and stated that the girl was forced to have sex with numerous men in both locations of November 28, and using image and video as a proof. Where was her mother? So in inquired once more, Mr. Harrison's one of a few neighbors who agreed to go on the record wandered around, and he said, what was her mother thinking? How is it possible that an 11 years old child is missing in the quarter? So this is another why. Another question is asking if this story is named versus unnamed. After reading, and when I was reading this story, I found that the story has named because there are some information which are explained and specific, such as it just destroy our community, said Sheila Harrison. Sheila Harrison is the name of one who said, so it means that is the name, and a hospital worker who says she knows several of the defendant. These boys have to live with this the rest of their lives. Not only that, but also the allegation first come to light just after Thanksgiving, when a child who knows about the victim told the teacher that she had seen a videotape of the attack on the cell phone, said Stacy Gartin, who is spokeswoman for the Cleveland Independent School District. That is another specified name. So Again, Mauricio Guerrero contributed reporting from Houston as well. Another name specified, and furthermore, they all stated their source's name, which leads me to believe and to say that this story is the name totally. Another question is asking, is in my opinion, is this story credible? Why or why not? I can say that in my opinion this story is credible. This because founded on the fact that there are many facts that shows and express the story's credibility, and they explain what happened. What questions I can left after I could left after what question I left after reading. So after reading I could ask different question. First one is about why an elementary school student informed a teacher about a lurid cell phone video that included the one of her classmate. That is a question I asked myself. Is it possible for authority to apprehend teenager boy who are involved in the gang rape on an 11-year-old girl? This story also left me to ask different questions such as those I have been mentioning. Another one, do this article video qualify as news? Why or why not? After reading I can say that yes, this video is qualified as news, is qualified as news. I mentioned this because to meet all of the criteria for being qualified as news. It has a journalist, credible source, and title. As a result of this, there is news from a reliable source with this. That's why it's verified as news. By jumping on the second story, which has title of Apple announces iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus, the biggest advancement in iPhone history. This source is from Apple and is due to the date of September 9, 2014. Is this second story independent or self-interested? I can say that this story source is self-interested after reading, and I found that this is because the story revolves around the advertising of iPhone, and the source appear to be self-interested since they require their product to be sold and known by a large number of people, and which is why the story appear to be tied to the story. So that's why. The second question is asking if this second story has multiple source or one source. This story is based on single source, one source. This because all reporters are under iPhone source, and the reason why I can mention this. With this, the story has been reported from a variety, difference of sites in order to promote the iPhones. Another one is asking if the second story is verified or assets. The story use assertion because of the way it persuade the people, the audience, about the use of iPhone. This implies that because of how it convince people to use iPhone, the story use assertion. So besides that, they utilized phrases like display of advanced technologies such as higher contrast for deeper blacks and dual domain pixels for more accurate colors at wider viewing angles. Those are kind of words to convince the people. To summarize, their article is about assertion because the reporters are confident in their point, and to authorize phrases that bring awareness as well as attracting attention of the audience. Another question is asking, is this second story authoritative and informed? or uninformed. I can say that this story of this source of article is authoritative and informed. This because individual who are reporting this is aware of what they are talking about. I say this because as a result they are talking about iPhone, the value of using it as phone and how it works. Those people were informed because they were focused on the iPhone and its critical relevance. They are experts in the field and are well versed in the subject. They appear to be pros in selling phones, in selling iPhones in the in this category. So is this story named or unnamed? This article's named. This is because the fact shows that their information comes directly from Apple's CEO Tom Cook, and both models contract iOS 8, the latest version of the world's most advanced mobile operating system, with a simple, fast, and more intuitive user experience with new message, photo and photos features, quick type TM keyboard, new health app, family sharing, and IC Cloud Drive. There are also plenty of offshore website where you may get more information on the iPhone 6. As a result, this clearly shows how this article is named. Furthermore, they are all state the source's name, which leads me to believe the story source is named totally. By jumping on the next question is asking my opinion. My opinion, is this story credible? Why or why not? In my opinion, this story is not credible of news source based on how the reporter was the owner of company. I can say that the story is not credible. Again, exaggeration can be used by the corporation to attract the large number of people to its goods, to its product. With that, it shows or it implies that the company's owner can employ skilled language to persuade the readers. The company did not show anything or anyone outside of the company. As a result, I believe that story is not credible. Again, what the question I left after reading this article, after watching this story, I left with some questions. What are the main purpose of this story? What this story does this story persuade our audiences? Does this story make the reader to be happy? Why a company indicate to announce and publish by using this publish it by using this strategy of advertisement? Last question is asking, does this article video qualify as news? Why or why not? I can say no, because the video does not meet the requirement of news, as the story was promoting iPhone. For that reason, it is kind of commercial or advertisement of iPhone 6. This implies that it is not news, but is like an advertisement. So the sad story is the sad story has title of grief and and protest for shooting of teenager. This is source from New York Times, and due to the date of August 10, 2014. The question is asking, is it sad story independent versus self-interest? I can say that this story source is independent. This is something that I can mention, since it has nothing to do with the benefit of reporting on this subject. It denotes that there is no connection between the source and the content of the story, because they are reporting and demonstrating that arose as a result of the shooting a teenager boy, and the source for the story are neutral, as mentioned by Shuri and the Emma resource, because they need to notify people about the thousands person demonstration. The source is absolutely irrelevant, the story independent. Another question is asking, is this story multiple, has multiple sources or one source? So because it was written by two different people, however they had the same goal and objective, and that way why this story and that is why this story has multiple sources. The authors of this story achieved an objective balance opinions since it was reported by the writers, who employed police and people as the additional source of information. So this source is taken from various sources, so that's why the use of outside demonstrate that it was based on the variety information sources. Another question is asking, is this sad story verified as said? The story used the verification of the information, and they used many pieces of evidence to demonstrate, to explain the faith in what they were writing about. This is the use of for this they use the photograph is, and it is considered as the evidence. Apart of that, the reporter present the identification of Chad who was killed, and they showed this he showed his age. They explained his age and where he lived. This strong evidence that show how verification of the information in this story. Yeah, that's why. Another one is asking, is this story authoritative and informed versus uninformed? The source in the article is authoritative and informed. I can state this based on how the source of the story has numerous, a variety of facts and evidence that make it trust. For example, they were notified of the boy's death. So furthermore, they demonstrate experience and knowledge of the subject area by relying on direct information for the country police to support their effort to product truthful story based on what occurred. Another question is, this story named versus unnamed? The story is named. The source are named in the story. This is a tribute to the reason that they provide the identities of people who saw the boys live. So those also introduce officers, including John Bellman, the chief of NAACP, and Esther Haywood, the deputy chief of NAACP, the deputy of NAS NAACP. So this is those are the name, and apart from that, they all state the source's name, which leads me to believe the source of the story is named as mentioned by Julie and Emma source. In my opinion, this story is credible. Why or why not? As I said, this in my opinion, this story is credible. This is because according to the fact it shows and presents, or it shows and how it presents all the structure of good story. It also includes those structures such as the source, title, publication date. Based on it, the image used described how things were doing and were going when protest once again. So as a result, is dependable and credible. Why? What is the question left after reading this source? After reading source, I left the question with the questions which are: did the killer stop to kill the unnamed boy? What is the root cause of shooting the boy? Another one, last question is asking, does this article video qualify as news? Why or why not? I can say that this is yes. because this written news, and it is written news, and it is written with the purpose of telling with the purpose of telling uh, the audience more, the people are more about the killing of people by cops happen in the United States. Really, this article is news based on how it has source content and audience, and how it has structure of news. uh, Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you and have a good day.